Morning. Hello. Good morning. Hello.
Good morning, Dr. Sheila. Can you hear me?
Hello.
You can hear me, Doc?
Yes, I can.
All right, great. So we're going to begin this particular stream. You have an echo on your end,
Yes.
but now you don't.
Yeah, now it's okay.
All right, good. Sorry, we started this particular stream quite late. Dr. Kohe just got into theater, so probably we'll just have this discussion, me, you, and whoever will join us online. It's been
Okay.
20 minutes for waiting. So, quicks and quicks. Probably you can just introduce yourself, Dr. Sheila.
Okay. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I'm Dr. Sheila Mugendi. I'm an obstetrician and gynecologist, and I'm very passionate about women's health, be it maternal health, sex and reproductive health, all things women. I'm so happy to be here. Happy Valentine's, everyone. And glad to be talking about menopause. It's about time that people talk about menopause.
Dr. Sheila. All right, Dr. Sheila. I'm still having a feedback.
Yeah, there's still some echoing.
All right. I think that's much better.
Yeah.
Oh, great. So, the purpose of this discussion today was pretty much to discuss menopause at work. We were expecting to have Dr. Kohe with us today, but due to unavoidable circumstances, Dr. Kohe is not able to join us today, but will join us much later, probably as we go by, because of a couple of things. He's in theater right now. He's seeing a patient, and but we'll keep rolling. When he comes by, we'll keep rolling. Okay.
Okay.
So,
That's
Dr.
okay.
Sheila, probably we can just begin with what is menopause.
Well, menopause is like there you just say the word menopause, menstruation pauses. So it's when you have complete cessation of menstruation for a consecutive period of 12 months. So that's what we define as menopause. And
Mhm.
it's an inevitable and natural process in a woman's life.
Okay, go ahead, Sheila.
Hello?
Yes, go ahead. I can hear you.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So I was defining menopause, and I've said it's a complete cessation of menstruation for a period of 12 consecutive months. And I've said it's
Mhm.
also an inevitable and a natural process for every woman. Every woman will have to undergo it. So preceding menopause, we have the period we call perimenopause. So it's the period that precedes this complete cessation of menses. So the period before that last menstrual period is called the perimenopausal period. Then we also have postmenopause. This is now 12 months after complete cessation of the menstrual periods is the postmenopausal period. So menopause comes with a lot of symptoms. Um, so I'm going to describe some of the symptoms. The most common symptom associated with menopause is the hot flash. The hot flashes, I would describe it as a sensation of heat that comes suddenly, that is also accompanied with sweating, with palpitations, um, that lasts for a short period, maybe two minutes, and then completely stops. So that's the most common symptom associated with menopause. It occurs in 80% of women. And other symptoms that come are sleep disturbance. We also have night sweats as well, and other psychological symptoms such as mental fog, memory loss, depression, cardiovascular, some of the cardiovascular effects you could have hypertension coming about, cardiovascular disease. Um, it really affects all organ systems. When we talk about the urinary system, you get urinary incontinence as part of the symptoms. When we come to even the hair, we have hair loss, hair thinning, you have skin thinning, wrinkling of the skin. So menopause essentially affects all systems in the body in a woman. Hello, Gaston.
Yes, Doc. Our topic of the day today is, like our banner says, menopause and career. So we are pretty much focusing on the effects of menopause at work and how it would affect anyone else at workplaces. So probably in this day and age, there's quite a taboo. It's quite a taboo speaking about the topic in itself, um, menopause. Uh, how can we change this particular attitude towards this particular topic? Because it's inevitable at the end of the day. When it gets to a certain age, like you say, it gets to a point where you cannot reverse it. It will just come by. So how can we change this at our workplaces, Dr. Sheila?
So, like you said, yes, in our society, menopause, to some extent, is talking about menopause is like a taboo. So, some of the words associated with the word menopause, when you just mention menopause, some of the things that come to mind is embarrassment. Some people feel shame. There's a lot of discomfort associated with it, and there's also stigma associated with it. And it's quite a shame because all of us women, we're going to go through this. It will say it's like a train, and we will get to that destination. So it's such a shame that we in our society and even at work, we are not able to talk about it and incorporate it into our normal lives. So some of the ways menopause can affect a woman at work, um, let me go back to the symptoms. So the most common symptom is the hot flash. So when a woman experiences these hot flashes at work, so you're in a meeting, then suddenly you have this hot flash coming about. Probably you're the one presenting in that meeting. So the feelings that come are feelings of embarrassment. This affects a woman's self-esteem greatly. And you might find that this woman at work now starts shying away from making the presentations, from taking opportunities. So in that sense, now you start withdrawing from being at the center point in your workplace. Then also now, because of now other symptoms, for example, there's also insomnia associated. You have sleep disturbance. Some women actually don't sleep at night. So when you come to work the next day, what do you expect? You have decreased productivity. You're not able to concentrate when you're doing your work. There's also mental fog associated with that. So your productivity starts going down and down. Other things, you lose confidence in yourself. You're not able. You feel as if when you're at work, people are going to start undermining you. You become a bit more shy. You don't talk around people, and with all this, the lack of sleep, the hot flashes, other women decide to skip work. So there's a lot of absenteeism at the workplace. And eventually, these women also decide to leave their jobs because of the menopausal symptoms. In the UK, the studies show that 1 in 4 women leave their jobs because of menopausal symptoms. These are women in the menopausal phase. So there's a lot that can be done in the workplace. And it doesn't have to be big strategies that we need to take at work. Where we are in Kenya so far, we have no laws that protect menopausal women at work that have been set aside specifically to cover menopausal women. But there exist some of the existing laws, like we have the Equality Act, and then we have the Health and Safety at Work Act, and also the Sex and Reproductive Health Policy. Under those, women are protected. For example, in the Equalities Act, um, employers are not supposed to discriminate against people with disability in the workplace, and they're supposed to accommodate them in the workplace. So in this case, the women with menopausal symptoms who are not able to cope at work will be considered as will be disabled. So they're not supposed to be discriminated at work, and therefore the employer needs to adjust accordingly and make the workplace an environment that can cater for the women with menopause. Um, and also, the employer is supposed to protect these women from bias and also from harassment at the workplace. So there are so many strategies. Let's start with the simplest. Simplest of all, we need to start having this conversation. We need to
Absolutely.
talk. We need to
Mhm.
talk. I feel that is the simplest strategy first. So I'm trying to think in the workplace. One of the first things you can do is maybe start a menopausal awareness event. Have a menopausal awareness event where people come, make presentations, discuss menopause. And from that event, you will notice there are women who are going to come up, they're going to start talking. You'll have menopause champions. People are going to start sharing their stories during the event. And from this
Okay.
event, now in the workplace, people are going to start having small conversations. People are going to start, now the people who used to feel shy are going to start sharing their stories between
Absolutely.
themselves. Yeah, then they start talking. And with that talk, people are going to we're going to become more open-minded, more accommodative. Then your next step can be starting trainings. So organize for
Yeah.
trainings where you're going to start teaching people about menopause, the symptoms, how to identify them, how to alleviate some of the menopausal symptoms. Then from there, after you've trained your employees. Now we start moving to other strategies, such like making the work environment accommodative for menopausal women. So some of the
Menopausal
strategies
women.
can, yeah, sorry.
Yes, I'm agreeing to you for the menopausal women.
Yeah, so some of the things that you can do in the workplace to make the workplace a bit more conducive for menopausal women is like having table fans, something simple like that. Having table fans, you can have AC that's directed. You can have quiet rooms where
Mhm.
someone can just, if you feel that hot flash coming, you can just make yourself scarce, disappear a bit, have your
Mhm.
few minutes, and then come back to work. You can also provide what are these? What do you call? What was I saying? I've lost my train of thought. But I all I'm trying to say is you can make the workplace a bit
More
more
conducive for
friendly.
the.
Yeah,
Okay.
for the menopausal women. Oh yeah, I wanted to talk about uniforms. There are companies that require their employees to wear uniforms. So some of the strategies would be maybe to change the uniform, work on the material. You want a more breathable material for your uniforms. You can have um, uniforms that can be layered, probably like maybe like a shirt and a jacket, such that if someone is getting a hot flash, you can just take off one layer. Yeah. So those are
Mhm.
some of the strategies that can be done at work.
Yeah, I'm
Other,
also thinking.
yeah.
Yeah, Dr. Sheila. So I'm also thinking, you know, they always say menopause is often called the change, and so probably people would be looking forward to just do other things that are pretty much different out of the norm. One of the things that you've mentioned as a symptom of menopause is the hot flashes. Is that the only thing that we need to look out for?
It's not just the hot flash, because okay, it is the most common symptom, but some other symptoms are like the other one that affects women at work is the mental fog.
Yeah.
So you'll find that at a certain time of day, things are just not working. Like the woman is not able to put two and two together. You're
Mhm.
having memory loss. So that's also a very common effect of menopause that should also be addressed. And the way as at the workplace as an employer, the way to get around this would be probably coming up with flexible working hours. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, for example, you can specify, okay, for example, you're supposed to work for 6 hours. So you can have
Mhm.
someone choose, do you want to work your 6 hours either in the morning or in the afternoon? So you can choose starting your work day a bit later in the day if you're having insomnia, or if you get mental fog in the afternoon, do all your work in the morning. So such flexible hours or even working from home can also help.
Yeah, so unfortunately, this side of Africa, we many do not have the luxury of Dr. Kohe is just trying to join in, so he should be joining us shortly. But as we go on, I was saying, uh, since since we are this side of Africa, many people do not have that luxury of saying, okay, fine, I can choose to work this particular timings and not this particular timings in this side of Africa. So we might not be able. So what are some of these things that we need to do other than choosing the time, other than choosing the time to work, say, I'd work from 8 to probably morning hours and not evening hours, or evening hours and not morning hours, because to many that might not be a reality.
Mm. Um, wow, that may be tough to get around. If the working hours are rigid, I would recommend now I think this now will boil down maybe to personally to that woman when she's working. You want to think about work organization and planning. So if you have larger tasks, let's say you have a big project you're supposed to tackle, you might want to break it down into smaller, manageable, pieces, and also delegate your work. Use checklists to make sure all your tasks are done because that mental fog is real. You also want to set reminders. I think those are some of the strategies if your workplace is very rigid when it comes to the hours.
All right, Dr. Sheila, Dr. Kohe just joined us a couple of seconds ago. Good morning, Dr. Kohe.
Good morning.
Good to see you, and sorry we made you leave your theater. We hope your patient is doing fine.
Yeah, she's stable now. Thank you very much, and I'm happy that I've joined you. And I'm apologetic that I had to come in a little bit late, but nonetheless, I'm happy to be here.
Asante sana daktari. So we're just having a chit chat and discussion about menopause at work. That's our subject of discussion this particular week, this particular episode. So me and Dr. Sheila were just having a discussion and to see what are some of the best possible ways to beat things like mental fog, hot flashes, how to handle that, and things like those. Perhaps you'd want to jump in.
Yeah, I think as I said, I got the tail end of what Dr. Sheila was saying, and I think I was 100% agreeing with her. And I just think what I just wanted to highlight is that sometimes there are quite a lot of challenges of women who are going through menopause or perimenopause in the workplace. Actually, the bigger issue is the perimenopause, because by the time they have entered the menopause, there's a bit of the relaxation of the symptoms. But the perimenopause is the where they get all the hot flashes, the mental fog, the vaginal dryness. Also, there could be cognitive symptoms, as Doc has alluded to. So the brain fog, memory lapses, difficulty in concentrating, and also which makes tasks harder. There's also emotional challenges as well, the mood swings, anxiety, workplace environment, especially if you're working in a place which is quite hot. So remember at that point, what happens is there's a reset of the internal body temperature. So it's actually the threshold is quite higher. So you have unsupportive managers, possibly stigma, and people are not understanding what you're going through. And then again, the issue of the career progression. Sometimes you're just told that, this lady is just being hormonal. No one is actually going behind the mental issues to actually find out that, wait, this person is actually going through a lot of things. Could there be something more than that? Because we just tend to label our women and say, they're going through something and they're just emotional. So how, in a nutshell, just how can women be supported? Number one, raise awareness, and it's good that we're doing this so that we actually tell our the audience out there that, look, this thing actually exists, and let's take it seriously, and let's try to make an environment that is conducive for our women. Number two is also now the flexible work arrangements. If women are able to work for remotely or from home or from an environment where they are in a safe space and it's better, please allow them. Number two, also adjusting the workplace conditions. If you're in a place where you can do that, install maybe some ACs, some fans, just to ensure that, and ensure that there's some sort of ergonomic, a suitable ergonomic work plan. And then healthcare and wellness, because remember, at this point, this is the time where there's a lot of potential cancers being detected. So this is important that at that we should have screening programs, especially like for breast cancer, ovarian cancer, cervical cancer, where our women can be involved in that. Possibly thinking about, and since I think I like to say that I'm an advocate in the health space, possibly advocating for menopause policies. So HR policies can be developed, and to leave options and which are flexible for our women, and then also leadership support, so that we can get like maybe senior managers to be involved in this and understand that this is actually a serious transition when our women are going from the potentially now from the reproductive cycle to the end of reproductive cycle and into a new phase. So that at this point they actually need support. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Kohe, for that quite an elaborate. Yes, you got at the tail end of it when Dr. Sheila was highlighting some of those things. So we're moving on pretty well. I can see a comment from Dimina Kitchen, says very insightful. Thank you. So we'll be keeping on. If you have any questions that you'd love to shoot to either Dr. Kohe or Dr. Sheila Mgendi, please feel free. The space is pretty much open and it's safe. You can also do a private chat if you feel like your comment is going to go to everyone, and you just want to have probably an anonymous feedback from either of the doctors, Dr. Sheila and Dr. Kohe. I need to remind you, Dr. Kohe and Dr. Sheila are our gynecologists at Avenue Healthcare. Dr. Sheila sees patients at Buruburu Medical Center. Dr. Kohe sees patients at Greenspan, but you can find them at any of those facilities on specific days. They would be able to advise you on what days, where you can find them, and on what particular days. So moving on swiftly, since we are almost close to about 15 or so minutes into closing up this particular discussion, we were also looking at Dr. Kohe and Dr. Sheila have highlighted some of the workplaces, culture and policies that we can do at workplaces so as to make it better for the menopausal woman at workplaces, so that the work environment can be easier and much more friendlier. But boiling it down to lifestyle, Dr. Sheila, what are some of these things that as a menopausal woman should step up to in terms of their lifestyle?
Okay, some of the lifestyle, I would say, changes that a menopausal woman should make to start with is your diet. So a very well balanced diet that is low in sugar, low in fat, can really go a long way into helping your symptoms. Also, working out, weight bearing exercises have also been found to help in weight management and also alleviating some of these vasomotor symptoms. Sleep. Sleep might be a challenge during menopause, but if you can get enough hours of sleep, and if you're not sleeping, kindly seek attention, medical attention, visit your gynecologist and see what can be done to help that situation. Other lifestyle things, modifications would be stress reduction. Stress reduction, it's easier said than done, but reducing your stress levels can also help. Learning relaxation techniques. I think I read an article which was discussing about deep breathing and meditation, reducing hot flashes by about 50%. So that mindfulness, that relaxation, taking that time for self-care really goes a long way to also help with the symptoms. Taking a lot of water, cold water preferably, can also help with your symptoms. Stay away from caffeinated drinks. They tend to trigger these hot flashes. Stay away from alcohol. Alcohol as well would probably aggravate the symptoms that you'd be having. Smoking as well. Those are some of the lifestyle changes, yeah, you can make to help the situation. Hello, Gaston.
Yes, Dr. Sheila. I left you at smoking.
Yeah, I think I've gone through the list. I was saying, I said a balanced diet. You need to work out, weight bearing exercises precisely. You need to stay away from caffeinated drinks, stay away from alcohol, stay away from smoking. Get enough sleep if you can. If not, see a doctor and see how we can help you to get enough sleep if you're having insomnia. And yeah, those are some of the. Dr. Koha, I don't know if you have any other lifestyle changes that someone can do to help with the menopausal symptoms.
No, I think you more or less covered them, but maybe I'll just add a few things. Maybe one is to advise that you eat more of the phytoestrogen. So these are the natural estrogen rich foods,
Ah, yeah,
things
yeah,
like,
yeah.
yeah, flax seeds, sesame seeds, soy products for those ones who can tolerate. Also, calcium and vitamin D rich food, because remember at this point they're at risk of getting osteoporosis where their bone density reduces. So you think about if you can tolerate dairy, think about milk products, yogurt, leafy green vegetables, fatty fish as well. And then the healthy fats. So healthy fats can be found in avocados, nuts, olive oil, fatty fish as well. And so protein rich foods, eggs, lean meats like chicken, turkey, fish, legumes, and then high fiber foods as well. So fruits, vegetables, brown rice, and oats. But as much as what
All
Dr.
right.
Sheila had alluded to, avoid processed foods, reduce
Mhm.
your caffeine, reduce your alcohol, reduce your salt, and healthy fats as well. And then drink, 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 hydrate, hydrate, hydrate. Thank you.
All right. A friend of mine just texted me and said, I'm not yet 30, so should I worry about menopause?
Yes, you
So the
should.
question is it an older woman? If I may, is it an older woman's disease?
Well, you can't say not necessarily. Okay, older woman, but not. It finds, let's say, menopause. The age we're talking about, 45 years to 55 years. So that's like in the middle of your life. It's not at the end of your life. So this your
Yeah,
friend is 30 years old. What I can tell her is she will eventually get there. So she really does need to prepare. She needs to know about menopause. And even if it's not just about her, she has other women in her life she's going to be interacting with, whether it's her mother, her elder sisters, her aunties, her friends at work. So it's essentially a topic for everyone, even for the men.
absolutely. Even for the men. How do
Yes,
men play
for the men.
along? Dr. Kohe, how should a
Okay.
man play here?
Uh-huh. Um, I think at the end of the day, it's first of all, it's the support. Remember, it's the mental support. Because one, these are people who are in their life, so these are partners, families, and friends. So one, the thing is educate yourself. Know that this thing actually happens. Because sometimes you end up wondering, okay, what is happening? You have no idea. So actually take time, educate yourself, read about it. Number two, be patient, be understanding. create a safe space for actually your partner or your relative or someone who you trust to discuss those symptoms without necessarily feeling like they're having some sort of stigma. Also assist with the lifestyle changes. You know, a lot of these changes are quite dramatic. So you want someone who can help you and keep you accountable, help you go to the gym, ensure that you're eating the right things. When you feel like you want to jump off the bandwagon, someone's like, no, I got you, and will extend a hand towards you and ensure that you do the right thing. And also, another thing, given that it's Valentine's Day, adjusting like the intimacy expectations. It's very important because the sex may not just be the way it was in the 30s or the 20s. So it's important to know that things happen. The vagina is aging. It is becoming a bit more drier. It is becoming, the lubrication won't always be there, but understanding what can I do in this case, maybe trying out lubrication, trying out different sexual positions to understand that uh, because this is what your partner is going through, and how do you support your partner in that regard, sexually going through what they're going through. And then the second thing is, as I said, the workplace, which I discussed about, being the awareness or the flexibility, respecting the privacy, encourage well-being, and then the society. So challenging the stigma, having like what we're doing now, having like awareness shows and impacting where we can reach out to the society, we educate them about what menopause is, and then also a listening ear, just listening to what our women are going through, because that literally is half you know, when you share a problem, it is 50% solved. So
Mm.
Perfect.
that can
So,
go a
yeah,
long way.
absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. There's another question popping in. Can you get pregnant during menopause?
Well, during the perimenopausal phase, when you're going through this transition, so what happens is you're having a reduction in the follicles. I'm going to call them eggs in your ovaries, or medically we call them follicles. So with age, you're getting that slow decline in the follicles or the eggs. And with this, you also end up reducing the production of estrogen in your body, the production of progesterone. And with this, you start getting menstrual irregularities. So 1 month the period is there, the other month the period is not there. So during the perimenopausal phase, you can get pregnant because some of those months you're still ovulating. But now I said menopause is now when you have complete cessation of menstrual periods for consecutive 12 months. So in that place, in menopause now, when you're completely established in menopause, you have no follicles being produced. So the estrogen production is on the lowest. So in that menopausal phase, you cannot get pregnant.
All right, Dr. Sheila. Thank you so much. I think we have one last question here. It's about all women experience menopause. Do all women experience menopause the same way? Here, I would tend to think maybe Dr. Sheila and Dr. Kohe, you will agree or disagree with me. But I think from what the little knowledge I have about this is that every woman's journey is quite unique when it comes to menopause.
Yeah, if I could just jump in, it's definitely what you've said is the truth, because there are so many things that jump into it. Number one, will affect how women experience menopause. The first thing is genetics. So genetics can also determine how one woman would go through menopause as compared to the other, and how severe the symptoms may be. Lifestyle choices as well. So if you're of course having a good diet, exercising, you're not smoking, and your alcohol is at its minimum, then you will definitely have in quotes a reduction of the symptom severity. Health conditions as well, because remember, some of them have coexisting medical conditions, so this can actually impact how the symptoms that they go through. And sometimes, even maybe what I forgot to add is that there are some women who have early onset menopause. We have seen women as young as 35, even as 30, what we call premature ovarian failure, literally going to early onset menopause for one reason or another, which is could be a medical condition. Even those ones who unfortunately are sometimes diagnosed with cancer or some sort of gynecological cancer, they can have some sort of surgical menopause, where sometimes you actually have to remove the ovaries or sometimes as a result of the treatment that is given, like the chemotherapy. Some of those can actually impact, can actually affect the women that we treat. Another thing is, of course, stress and mental health. If you live in a high stress environment, those can amplify the sort of like in terms of how different women go through menopause. Again, cultural and social issues. So there's some who embrace menopause positively, while the others who are like, uh, this we don't even know, and even make you even gaslight our women into thinking that it's a shameful thing that they're going through, like it's just her moods, and and maybe there's an underlying medical issue that is actually there.
So there's another question that has just popped up by D. How do you train men to love their women even when they get to this space? Because some tend to deviate away from their spouses when menopause crops in. Dr. Kohe Changamuka.
I think we already covered it, where we were saying, first of all, know what she's going through, be empathetic, give a
Absolutely.
listening ear. Because you see, if you don't know what she's if you don't know, you can only act on what you know. So this is why we are doing this sort of webinars and these sort of shows, so that we are able to educate the society that this is actually can happen. And if you see your wife, your girlfriend, your sister going through this, please understand, or even your mother, understand that this is actually what we call a physiological process. It's a natural aging process. So women will go through this, and these are some of the symptoms, as I'm sure that my colleague, Dr. Sheila, had alluded to, so that you're on the lookout. So that when you see someone who is having mood swings, complaining all the time that they're having like some sort of bone pain, complaining about like the hot flashes, then you actually would be like, oh, would this actually be someone going through the perimenopause and eventually having menopause? So I don't know about training, because training looks like you're training an animal or something. Like, I just think it's to educate, because you can't
Mhm.
really train. Just educate, and then from there they should be able to. If you've got a good partner, they should be able to support you. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Doc. Dr. Sheila?
I agree with what Dr. Kohe has said. It's all about just being aware and being educated on the topic. That's the most we can do. We need to start talking about it. And with talking about it, the more comfortable we're going to get with this topic. And people are going to be a bit more open-minded. Yeah. Otherwise, I don't think we can per se train someone into loving you, but you just need to be open-minded, be willing to take in the information, because this is inevitable for every single woman. You have to go through this.
Absolutely. Thank you, Doc. Mine is just a rejoinder that yes, it's not a sign of weakness for you to ask for help. It's not a sign of weakness for you to seek help, because when you're seeking help and support, that means you're empowering yourself, and that means you want to understand your body much better, and you want to be the better version of yourself. That would be my parting shot from this end. So, Dr. Sheila, your parting shot. Then Dr. Kohe, your parting shot, and then we'll close the show in a couple of seconds.
Okay, my parting shot would be for the employers at work. There is need and there is benefits for you to embrace these menopausal women at work and make the environment conducive. I know many employers are very reluctant to change things, or rather make changes because of their employees. But thinking on the business end, if you were to actually think about it, making these small changes to your workplace benefit you more than losing these women. Because, like I said earlier, I said in the UK, the studies show that 1 in 4 women leave the workplace. They leave their work because of menopausal symptoms. And you can just imagine this woman who is in, let's say, 40s and late 40s, 50s. This is a woman who has reached the peak of her career. She has the skills, she has the experience, she's a mentor, she's at the top of her game. But then again, her body, here comes menopause, is shutting down.
Yeah,
So if you were to support them, you would be retaining a very talented workforce. These people are the people who are holding the company up. So if you're losing them because of these menopausal symptoms, you have to rehire, retrain. So that's even more expensive when you're rehiring, you're training again your staff, and then there's that disruption of work. When you lose a very valuable individual in the workplace, there's that disruption. Before everything settles again, you're losing money. So if you can just make these small changes at your workplace, you would really benefit. Yeah, that's my parting shot.
Thank you, Dr. Sheila. Dr. Kohe, over to you.
Thank you very much. I just want to echo what my colleague says and just to add that, first of all, menopause is a natural phase of life. It's not a disease. And while every woman's experience is unique, support, awareness, and a healthy lifestyle can actually make the transition a bit smoother. So, for any woman that is at this point either going through menopause or like supporting someone who is, or open to conversation, open to education, remember empathy is the key. Remember, you need to be empathetic. So it's not the end, it's actually the beginning of a new phase of life. And the issue, and I think us as gynecologists want to empower women so that they can look at it without having to feel like they're dreading, like I'm now becoming, when you talk to a lot of women, they're like, I'm going through menopause, and they feel like it's the end. We're coming to the end of life, sort of like I'm going into the end of, or the terminal portion of my life. And actually it's a part of life where you can actually make the most of it and enjoy and ensure that everything that you used to do is still normal, or still is still the same but a little bit different, but you make it as near normal as possible.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Kohe. I think that marks the end of our webinar this morning. We trust it has been very, very insightful. You've picked up a couple of things from workplace policies, work culture, how you should take care of your lifestyle, minimal alcohol, minimal smoking, caffeine, reduce them. This has been quite an educative. Even me as a man, I understand much better what to do in case we get to that level. So thank you so much Daktari, Daktari Kohe, Daktari Sheila, asante sana kwa muda wenu, tunawashukuru. Have a lovely Friday. Happy Valentine's.
Happy
Happy
Valentine.
Valentine's.
Thank you, Daktari. God bless.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.